Welcome everybody to the webinar, Discover the Access to Exchange Summit, a webinar production of the National Clearinghouse on Disability and Exchange. I'm Justin Harford, the program coordinator of NCDE, and I've also got my colleague Monica Malhotra here, our project manager, who's helping me with the technology. And without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started, and people can come in. We're also recording the webinar as well, as you probably know. So the recording will be made available once we finish the webinar, and we'll also send out the slides. So Monica, also could you go ahead and chat the slides out into the box, and also chat out the link to the transcript, the stream too. This webinar is also interpreted, and it's also captioned, so that the slides and the transcript link should be available in the chat. And still got folks coming in, so that's great. And Monica has just sent out the stream text. Okay, great. And it's 11:02. So my goal today is to basically just overview this new program that we're creating. And we need your help to work with us to get this program out. And so I'm going to explain what the program is and who it's for, the thoughts behind it, the design, the goals, and how professionals in the field of both international education and disability access services can work with us on this program, on getting the word out. And let's see. So, and then after that, we'll have some questions. I think that my presentation will probably be about 15 or so, 20 minutes. So we should have time for questions, and in about 30 or so minutes, we'll be gone. If anybody wants to hang out after, we can keep on answering questions, and we'll follow up with more information and links afterwards. And I hope that some of you will be able to partner with us on this program. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start up. So very quickly here on the second slide, we're about what is the NCDE. So many of you might already kind of know about us, but very quickly, the National Clearinghouse on Disability and Exchange is a project sponsored by the US Department of State. Since we're sponsored by Department of State, our services are free to those who access them. Our mission is to increase the participation of people with disabilities in international education programs between the United States and other countries. So the NCDE is managed or administered by the disability rights nonprofit Mobility International USA, or MIUSA. So what services do we offer to start with? Well, first of all, we have, I should say what we don't do, which is we don't directly offer international education programs. That's the responsibility of universities and consortium providers. So what we do is we offer consulting services. We do webinars, we organize conferences, we present at other people's conferences. We also publish resources, informational resources at myusa.org, including a magazine, podcasts, webinars like this one, and video series, and a whole variety of things. People can also contact us with questions about their specific situations at clearinghouse@myusa.org. So you can search on our website if you have a question about any topic about disability international exchange. And if you need more details, more guidance, you can email us at clearinghouse@myusa.org. So who benefits from our services? Well, it's large part professionals, professionals working in disability access and higher education, and professionals working in international education, which includes study abroad offices at universities, international student services at universities, as well as all of the third-party consortium type organizations like Council on International Education, for example, or Institute for Study Abroad. So moving on to slide 4, just this is a quick introduction of who our staff are. So you can see a picture of us with there's Monica and I, and then our colleagues Ashley Holben and Joey Lenny with a brick wall behind us. And moving on to the next slide. So now that you know what NCDE is, what is the Access to Exchange Summit, or AES? So the AES is a weekend course that is designed to prepare people with disabilities with limited to no international experience to study or volunteer abroad. So by weekend, we mean it's going to be on a Saturday and a Sunday. It's going to be over Zoom. It's going to be each day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. A very sort of jam-packed agenda of lecture and group discussion and panel discussions. They're going to hear from NCDE staff, and they're all going to also hear from alumni with disabilities of international education and people with disabilities from around the world. Moving on to the next slide. What is the goal of the AES? So we work a lot with professionals in international education, and I think that we want to work a lot more. In addition to you, we want to work with people with disabilities directly. And this really, I think we view it as an outreach tool. The goal at the top of everything is to increase the participation of people with disabilities in study abroad, to outfit them with the confidence and the tools to be able to participate in international education programs, and particularly the international education programs that would best meet their goals, so that we have the goal is that we've got people with disabilities that are out there solving problems, identifying and participating in programs that they want to do, rather than programs that they feel that they would be able to do. And we've got a request to share the slides. So Monica, maybe go ahead and send that link out again. We're going to send the link out. It's a Google Slides, and we'll also be sending out a copy of the slides after. Oh, I see what you mean. Let me see if I can. I see what you mean. Oh yeah, because of course there's no view permission. Let's see. Let's see if I can quickly let's see. You know, I think apologize that this only has this isn't a, let me see. I might have to just send you all permission afterwards though. Let's see, here is yeah, I'm having trouble with this right now. Apologies, everybody, that you're not going to be able to have access to the slides except by viewing them through the Zoom presentation. Sorry about that. We'll make sure that you get a copy of the slides afterwards. And if you have any clarifying questions or anything, yeah, feel free to chat those. And I hope that we'll continue corresponding after this, that this won't be the last of it. So, you know, if you have any follow-up questions and you don't get a chance to ask them here, absolutely email them along to us. So the goal overall is to increase the numbers of people with disabilities studying abroad. So the idea by the way that we're going to do that is we're going to guide each student in their journey. We're going to outfit them with, we're going to educate participants on the nuances of international education, program options, and also on the nuances of their rights in an international context. Thanks, Monica. So going on to slide 7, who is it for? So of course, like we said, it's for people with disabilities who have interest in studying abroad and who have limited to no international experience. See, that's why we pay Monica the big bucks. And we do have an age range right now, ages to 14 to 30. So we think you're never too young to start thinking about studying abroad. There are a lot of great high school type programs. So if you're connected with people in that age, in the teenage type age range, we definitely want them to know about this program. Moving on to slide 8. So what we cover. So this is kind of a non-exhaustive slide, but every edition of the Institute is going to cover the range of program options. It isn't just study, it's also volunteer, intern, and there's a whole wide range, as you know, of different things you could do, spanning from 4 weeks to 2 years and everywhere in between. We're going to talk about disability disclosure. We're going to talk about disability culture around the world. So getting people to think about not only like the procedure of requesting reasonable accommodations, but also the many nuances of disability in other cultures, and to realize that there are people with disabilities all around the world. And even though the world isn't perfectly accessible in really most places, that people everywhere are finding ways to make it work. And so can our students. We're going to talk about negotiating reasonable accommodations. Just listening to the question. So yeah, when you text questions, I'll hear them. It sounds like a question kind of about a course and that's specifically for people with disabilities. Yeah, go ahead and ask that after and we'll get to it. And negotiating reasonable accommodations and sorry, personal assistance and healthcare abroad and abroad, etc. So that's kind of a non-exhaustive selection. So I mean, as you can imagine, when you study abroad, there's already a lot of topics to cover as far as trying to identify a program that works for you, your credit requirements, how much time you have, how much money you have, all that. But there's also a lot of aspects when you study abroad with a disability, making sure that your service animal is meeting the right health requirements, making sure that you've got all of the documentation so you can bring your medications with you, or making sure you've got a plan to get your medications in country, making sure that you can fund your personal care attendants and that there's housing for them. There's a lot of stuff. So the goal is that this is going to be one intense crash course that's going to prepare people to be able to plan for these kinds of considerations. So now going on to the next slide, the upcoming Access to Exchange Summit. So as I mentioned, the next one is going to be Saturday and Sunday. The next session is going to be the weekend of June 25th and 26th over Zoom. And we definitely hope that some of your contacts will be there. We're going to be putting out a student application probably in the next couple months. And we actually currently have an application opened for guest speakers. So of course, in addition to being an opportunity for students who have limited to no international experience to learn about how to study abroad, it's an opportunity for alumni with disabilities who are experienced already in studying or volunteering abroad to earn a little speaker fee and talk to a group of their peers about these opportunities. We have about 4 to 5 speaking positions in the Institute that we're trying, in the summit that we're trying to fill. So how can you help us? Or how do students apply, I should say, is, you know, once the application goes out, it's just going to be a matter of filling out the application. And we encourage people to sign up to our newsletter where you'll find out when that application goes live. And of course, there's no fee for students to participate. And of course, the big $1 million question is, how can you help? Well, first of all, you gotta look out for when we message you about the speaker opportunity, about the student, the application for students. And once you see that application go out, we're going to give you in that email ideas for email outreach and social media outreach, and use that or use your own ideas to get the word out to your networks through email and through social media, whatever your lines of communication are with your students. Also, we're hoping to develop some flyers or some printed type materials. So if you want, you can also submit a materials request with us, and we'll be sending out materials for free. And so that people can, so that you can share with those. The link that we really want you to keep in mind is www.myusa.org myusa.org/AES. So that's on the slide, basically myusa.org/AES. And that's that link, it's never going to change. It's always going to be a page on our website for the summit. You're always going to be able to go there and see if there's an application opened or not. And if there's no application, it'll always have a note saying more or less when we think the next cohort's going to be, or at least giving information on how you can find out when the next cohort's going to be. So that's a really important link. We want you to keep that in your bookmarks. And as it says on the slide, we want you, if possible, we know that many of you have websites, places on your websites dedicated to identities abroad issues. So if you go to, I've visited many college websites, and I can see on the study abroad page, there's a section that says identities abroad, and you could go read about race, you could go read about gender preference, about sexual preference, you could go read about gender identity, and many sites offer some information about disability. And some of you actually also feature myusa.org among your resources. So that's really awesome. We appreciate that a lot. And what we want you to do now is also add myusa.org/AES to those resources, so that when students are looking on your website, they're going to be able to see that there is an amazing free training opportunity that they can take right away that's going to orient them to how to study abroad, and it's going to prepare them. Now, kind of like something I didn't really get to mention before, as I close up here and we go into questions, we really think about the student as being on a journey, where really every student is on a journey, but the student with a disability too, where they are from where they haven't really thought about studying abroad to next when they talk to a mentor or somebody who has studied abroad, and it gets them thinking maybe they'd like to do it, or maybe they had an international experience of some sort, or maybe they meet an international student, and that little seed gets planted. And then the next stage is when they're at a point where they're in college, they actually have maybe the means to do it. They're starting to do some research, maybe reading on websites. But in this stage, they're kind of nervous. They haven't really reached out to a human yet. They haven't initiated that communication. And there's a lot of questions on their minds of, are they going to be able to have the resources to go abroad? What kinds of options are there for them if they have to fund certain reasonable accommodation expenses? Are they going to encounter discrimination or institutionalized ableism when they go to meet an advisor in person? Are they going to be either told that they can't study abroad because of their disability, or are they going to be told that they're not going to be supported with reasonable accommodations or anything to study abroad and they're going to be on their own? Or are they going to be told, well, they can study abroad, but only in these certain countries? And so the goal is that we meet them at that point in the process, when they're kind of on your website, they're doing a little bit of reading, but they haven't really presented themselves to you yet. And we want to be able to meet them there and advise them on how they can go about it, how they can both be resourceful from their point of view and making sure they get what they need, and also how they can understand things from your point of view too, and understanding the constraints that institutions are facing, so that they can get an idea of both what are their rights, what can they expect, and also what can they not expect. So we want to help students to not only be resourceful, but also to manage their expectations and to understand some of those legal nuances. And so we hope that you'll be able to partner with us on getting the word out. And we actually did already have a run of a different version of this that was called the Access to Exchange Summit. And we did get some really nice feedback from that cohort. Some of you probably helped us get the word out, so thank you if you did. And we hope that we're going to keep on growing this program into the future. So if anybody has any questions, we'd definitely would be available to answer those right now. So I'll open up the floor. And Monica, if you see anything in the chat, go ahead and read that out.
Monica, we can go back to that first question. Let me read it out.
Great.
I am in the process of working with our institution on developing a specific course that has a travel abroad component tied to it that is inclusive of disabilities and explore disability from an international perspective. Do y'all do consulting for things like this?
we can definitely, yeah, we definitely can. Oh, sure. Yeah, I was asked to slow down. We can definitely. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do consulting on disability access issues. I think that our consulting, we do tend to center more around disability access, though, as a contrast to curriculum. But maybe Monica could add something to that. We do actually know a professor, though, at another institution who did a program similar to this. So another thing we can do if we can't consult directly on the programmatic or curricular aspects of a program is that we can refer you to other people in your field who have been doing similar things, and you can meet with them and trade notes.
Yeah, this is Monica. I'd agree. I don't think this is too common of a question that we get, but we definitely have resources and definitely can connect you to faculty members that have done similar things. But definitely reach out to us so we can get more information about the course and more details of the length and location and things like that. Through our work with MyUSA, we have connections with disability leaders all over the world. So depending on which location the program is in, then we can also share some contacts and alumni that we have that might be integrated into your program. Another question. You mentioned an age range of 14 to 30, but we have a lot of mature students at my institution that study abroad who are older than 30 and have various mobility issues. Would they be eligible to participate? I also have one alum who I think might want to participate as a guest speaker, but she was a mature student when she studied abroad.
Yeah, I think that this has been, hopefully someday we'll be able to open it up more. Monica, what is our grant funders' position on that?
Yeah, we can always talk to them. It started as a youth initiative to reach out to younger audiences for this course, but it's definitely something that we can reach out and see if we can kind of turn off the age limit. Because yeah, I think a few years ago when we first thought about this course, it was an initiative based on youth only. And that was a couple of years ago. And through that initiative, we've learned that this is something that we want to continue to have and offer for years to come, and just have it be one of the clearinghouses kind of, programs, ongoing programs throughout the year. So I think it's definitely something we can look at, and it could be something when this course is open in July that we would be able to open up that age bracket. And then even for the alum, I think it's important. I don't think there's no age restriction on the alumni of guest speakers of when they did their program, but it's more based on their experience. So you can definitely connect them to Justin.
Yeah, and we'll share that request for speakers in the email that we'll send out after this. Great. So I think that Monica, is that probably all the questions we got?
That's all we have so far. Anybody can chat in the box or turn your microphones on if you have any questions before we wrap up.
Yeah, thank you. who on here would probably might have like identity resources on your website already where you think that you could post where something like this might fit? Thanks for sharing. That's great. Yes. Yeah, thanks, Maria. I hope that maybe you'll be able to work with us to get a link to the summit posted over there. All right. Well, it is 27 after, so yeah, I think we pretty much are ended here. Everybody, you're going to get a survey afterwards. Gauging your satisfaction. Great. Yeah, perfect. Gauging your satisfaction with the survey, with the webinar. And we'll also send you some links to both the page to the Access to Exchange Summit that we so want you all to help us get the word out about and maybe put on your websites if it'll fit. And also the press release about guest speakers. So we have the application open now. It's going to be open until, I believe, almost getting to the end of April. I don't remember the exact deadline right now, but it's on the press release, so it's going to be close to the end of April. So we also hope you'll encourage folks to apply. Wow, and Marie's, her university has a huge collection of resources. That's great. So yeah, we think that those kinds of resources on your website, when you have the more information, the more resources that students have for orienting themselves to and making their plan specific to their identity abroad, really the better. It's really better. And I mean, I know there's a lot of, one of the big key concerns for international ed professionals is how do you encourage more disclosure of disability when students apply? And part of that, I think, is allaying those concerns that students have that maybe they're not sufficiently prepared yet. So yeah, the more resources students have on your website that they can prepare themselves with, that's even better. So yeah, anyway, we're going to get all that out to you, and thank you all so much for joining us for this webinar. Also, the recording will be available after, and we hope that you'll be able to partner with us on this. Cool. Monica, any final remarks?
Nope, thank you. And I think this was a great kind of synopsis of our upcoming and refined Access to Exchange Summit. And I really hope that everybody was also enthusiastic about this opportunity for more students. I don't think there's anything like this. So just as Justin said, excited to partner with all the programs out there to reach more students with disabilities to participate in these programs. So thanks, Justin, for all your work on this, and thanks everybody for attending.
Thanks, everybody. You'll have a great week.
Bye.